They say that misery loves company. And if you're an orphan teenager who's going through his emo phase, who has also been tasked with saving the world, you'll probably want as much company as possible. Lucky for you, there are other people out there who are more than ready to aid you on your quest to save the world. Problem is, they are also orphan teenagers going through their emo phase. Welcome to a Newcomer's Guide to Persona 3. In this video, I'll introduce you to all the party members you can recruit in the game, analyzing all their strengths, weaknesses, and unique traits. Before that though, it's very important that I explain to you how managing your party works in this game. Persona 3 is unique in the way that it presents its characters, as it goes through great lengths to make you see them as their own beings, rather than simple peons to give orders to. They're people just like you, who have their own desires, needs, and personal issues. One of the ways the game shows this is in fights. In combat, you do not control your party members' actions directly. To have any influence over your teammates' decisions, you need to use the tactics menu. The tactics menu is a list of behaviors you can assign to each of your companions in battle. This system may be weird and unnecessarily complex to an average player, who would prefer to just tell their teammates which skills to use and be done with it. But this system has a thematic purpose. In an interview with the game director Katsura Hashino and the art director Shigenori Sojima, Hashino explains why he chose this approach. There are a lot of RPGs out there where you can control every aspect of your party members, including what kind of underwear they are wearing. But because we wanted the players to relate to the hero more than any other character in Persona 3, we wanted the other characters to feel like other people. Sojima followed by saying, it was important to make that distinction. It helped to emphasize the concept of social links, and it also allows us to show off the improved AI. It would have been extra cool if the party members had been completely free from player control, but we knew that would be pushing it a bit too far. Combat isn't the only place where such independence from the player is displayed. Things like running into them in the city, seeing them leave to spend some time with their friends, pocketing any money they find in the dungeon and using it to buy their own equipment, getting randomly tired or sick some days, and many other details are there to make you see them as their own individuals and not just extensions of your person. You're not meant to make them work for you, you're meant to work with them. Once you adopt this mindset, it will be much easier for you to fight alongside them. Now that we're all clear, it's time to introduce you to your new companions. Let's get started. This is Junpei Iori.
I'm Junpei Iori. Nice to meet you.
Your classmate and self-proclaimed best friend. He is the game's designated bro character, which all Persona games seem to have for some reason. Junpei is a cheerful, friendly dude. A real guy's guy, as some would say. A sophomore like you, he's pretty much just a typical teen whose main interests are sports, girls, and video games. He's a complete slacker, which heavily affects his grades and reputation. Junpei loves fighting shadows and feels slightly jealous at you for being stronger and much better than him at fighting. But he quickly gets over it and goes back to inviting you to ditch your homework and go play some Halo 3 together instead. Junpei represents the Magician Arcana, which is associated with the harnessing of one's talents, immaturity, and self-confidence. His persona is Hermes, the messenger of the gods. His skills are mostly focused on dealing physical damage, but it also has single target fire spells as well as a few support skills that buff the team's defense and pick up allies that are knocked down. Junpei is weak to wind attacks, so any strong gust of air will cause him to fall flat on his ass. Junpei's weapon of choice is a two-handed sword, which has a high damage output and a low accuracy. The low accuracy of his weapon means he's likely to miss and stumble. Since Junpei's accuracy isn't that great, try giving him equipment that boosts agility or lowers stumble chance. Equipment that increases crit chance and luck as well as strength is also acceptable, but I personally think it's better to make sure he can hit anything in the first place. Ironically, despite his arcana being the magician, his magic isn't very good. His fire spells are weak and are more or less just there to hit weaknesses rather than deal damage. That pretty much covers the extent of Junpei's abilities, so let's move on. This is Yukari. Yukari can heal. And that's about it. Alright, next up is...
What?
Fine. This is Yukari Tequila, aka Yucatan Peninsula. She is another one of your classmates and Junpei's close friend. She's the most popular girl in your class and the first member of C's you meet. If I had to describe Yukari, I'd say she's the definition of feisty. A girl who is quick to show her disapproval and often lashes out at the slightest provocation. She has an habit of teasing and mocking Junpei whenever he's being a clown, which he simply takes in stride. She's a girl with pretty standard interests. Fashion, makeup, sweets, and other feminine stuff. She's also part of the archery club. Yukari's arcana is the lovers, which represents decision-making, choices, and the roads one takes in life. Her persona is Io, Wait, what was Io again? Okay, one second. Let's see... blah 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 blah, lover of Cias, blah blah blah, turned into a count, blah 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 blah, married to Egyptian king, Let's just call her Io, the cow lady. Io, the cow lady, specializes in dealing wind damage and recovering the party's HP. She learns every normal healing spell, making her the best healer out of any other party member. Her weapon is the bow and arrow, which despite being part of the archery club, she sucks at using. Bows have the lowest average damage and accuracy out of any other weapon in the game, but at least she doesn't stumble when she misses. And believe me, she misses a lot. It's better for everyone if she just uses her persona all the time. Her weakness is electricity, so if she ever pisses you off, just drop your socks on the carpet and zap her. Yukari is the designated heal battery of the game. Her wind magic is also pretty decent, but if you meet any enemies that resist wind, her usefulness will drop down by 50%. If she ever runs out of SP, she'll become completely useless, so try giving her some equipment that increases her max SP or accessories that restore it passively. Next, we have Akihikosana,
Where have you been?
an upperclassman and the group's older brother figure. Akihiko is a senior from your school, a passionate fighter and a professional boxer, standing undefeated ever since his first fights in middle school. He isn't all brawn and no brain though. Beneath his burning fighting spirit lies a cool head and a wise mind, ready to offer encouragement and advice when it's most needed. Akihiko's arcana is the Emperor, symbolizing desire for control of one's surroundings. His persona is Polydeuces, the boxing demigod. His persona specializes on dealing electric damage and debuffing enemies, but it also counts with a single target heal and a physical strike skill, which makes him an extremely flexible party member that's great to have in pretty much any situation. In regular battles, Akihiko will be mowing down enemies with powerful lightning spells. If against lightning resistant opponents, he'll still be able to deal damage to them with Sonic Punch. In boss battles, he will keep the enemy suppressed by using debuffs, reducing their damage, defense, and accuracy drastically, turning what would be an extremely difficult fight into a breeze. Akihiko's weaknesses are solid water, chilly weather, and catchy songs from the 90s. As a boxer, Akihiko uses his fists as a weapon, because everyone knows punching people is no different from punching tables or a tank. Since he needs to get up close to his enemies, he will rarely ever miss. His punches also deal a decent amount of damage. All of these qualities make Akihiko a great teammate to have with you at all times. When picking up gear for Akihiko, look for max SP increase or SP regen. Magic boosting equipment also helps him deal more damage. Strength enhancing equipment isn't very good on him, since he'll be casting magic spells 90% of the time. Our next party member is Mitsuru Kirijo, senior at your school, billionaire, and Cease's head of operations.
Push yourself. I have high hopes for you.
Mitsuru is what most people call a Miss Perfect. With supermodel looks, the highest grades in school, and enough money to buy the whole world twice, she is very much a person of interest and the talk of many students. Mitsuru herself is a very professional and formal person. Being the daughter of the president of an electronics giant, she grew up being taught how to act proper and carry herself around with dignity. Unfortunately, this caused her social skills to be a bit lacking. Despite being very well read, her street smarts could use some work. She's the de facto leader of Cease, being the sole founder of the group itself. She will call the shots outside of combat, leaving the actual battle strategy to you. Mitsuru's arcana is the Empress, which represents nurture, abundance, and prosperity. Her persona is Penthesilea, the Amazonian queen. Its specialty is freezing shadows faces off with powerful ice spells. It also has a single target heal and a charm skill. Mitsuru's persona has the highest magic stat out of all your teammates, making her main priority to throw icy nukes at your enemies. If faced with any enemies immune to ice, she will try to charm them or use her weapon to deal damage. In typical rich person fashion, Mitsuru is adept at fencing, so she uses a one-handed sword to fight. The one-handed sword is a reliable weapon, it deals decent damage and has an acceptable enough accuracy. Mitsuru's best gear is anything that gives her more SP, as the moment she runs out of it, she'll be unable to do anything but swing her sword around. Magic boosting equipment is also great, as more damage from her spells equals having to cast them less times to defeat an enemy, which in turn saves you SP. Agility is pretty good on her, as it guarantees she'll land her skills consistently. Strength and luck are pretty friggin' useless on her, so don't bother giving her these. Up next we have Aegis, your emotionless robot stalker.
Greetings.
Aegis is an anti-shadow weapon created over a decade ago. After a particularly nasty fight, Aegis was put out of commission and the project she belonged to was discontinued. For some mysterious reason, she has become active once more. What's even stranger is that she seems to have a strong fixation on the main character, constantly requesting to be near him at all times and deeply obsessed with his well-being. But besides being a creepy robo-stalker, Aegis has no real traits or personality. simply observing everyone go about their day and gathering data from it. She will often ask questions like, why can dogs go to school and what does relaxation mean, so she can better understand human behavior. Aigis' arcana is the Chariot, representing war, conquest, and victory. Her persona is Palladian, the stalwart protector. Her persona is focused on dealing strong physical damage and buffing your party, making it much harder for your enemies to take you down. It never learns any elemental magic and only acquires a healing spell very late into the game. Since water isn't an element in this game, the devs concluded that the second most logical weakness for a robot was electricity. Aigis' strength lies in her persona stats. As a result of being made of metal, Aigis has the highest endurance out of anyone in the team, meaning she can withstand powerful attacks with ease. Her weapons are guns built into her hands and arms. Her guns possess both high damage and a great accuracy, and missing with them won't cause a stumble, so they're pretty much just like a bow and arrow but better. Aigis' stat progression is pretty balanced, with her strongest stat being endurance, followed by her strength. But since Aigis doesn't learn any magic damage spells, her mag stat is completely for show. You can give her pretty much any kind of equipment that isn't focused on magic and it'll work great on her. Aigis has a special tactic that's exclusive to her, called Orgia mode. While in Orgia mode, her attack will rise significantly for several turns, but she will not be able to receive any orders while it's active. After Orgia mode is over, she'll enter a state of cooldown in which she'll be unable to act at all, and take extra damage from attacks. Once she's fully recovered, you'll be able to give her commands again. Coming up, we have Koromaru, loyal companion and goodest boy. Koromaru is an albino Shiba Inu that surprisingly also carries the power of a persona. He's an incredibly intelligent dog, being able to follow orders and show a wide range of emotions like happiness, anger, sorrow, and regret. Koromaru's arcana is strength, symbolizing gentleness, power, and self-control. His persona is Cerberus, the guardian of the underworld. Cerberus' main skill types are both fire and darkness, getting access to all the spells from these elements as well as a speed buff for the party. It has the highest agility out of any team member, helping him land his fire magic and swiftly dodge incoming attacks. His weakness is light, so try to keep laser pointers far away from him. Koromaru wields a knife in his mouth as a weapon, attacking with high precision but dealing minimal damage. He is a great choice as a party member if you want someone who can deal strong damage reliably. While he doesn't have a high magic stat like Mitsuru, he does learn skills that boost his fire damage passively. Combine that with his agility and he'll be turning all fights into a shadow barbecue. If there's any enemies immune to fire or weak to dark, Koromaru will try his luck with his darkness spells. Darkness magic instantly kills enemies, but getting them to hit is pretty much a roll of the dice. Although enemies weak to darkness are more prone to getting hit by these. It's still a gamble to use them though. Since Koromaru uses a lot of magic, SP and mag boosting gear is ideal for him. Next we have Ken Amada.
Hello.
An elementary school student and the youngest member of the team. Ken is a kid who doesn't like being treated like one, often acting more mature and doing things like drinking his coffee black in hopes of being seen as an adult. Despite this, he still has plenty of childish interests he likes to keep hidden from others, like superhero manga, movies, and shows. His favorite being Feather Menar, which he can't help but gush about whenever it comes up. Ken's arcana is Justice, representing balance, objectivity, and order. His persona is Nemesis, the goddess of retribution. Nemesis has the most skill variety out of any personas in your party, having access to lightning magic, light magic, pierce skills, and healing spells. Its stats favor magic and agility but are lacking in the strength and endurance department. Ken's weakness is darkness, so try not to tease him too much for sleeping with a nightlight on. Ken fights shadows with a spear, delivering highly accurate but weak blows to his target. He is the only other person in Seas besides Yukari to learn multi-target healing magic. If you don't want Yukari in your party but still want party-wide healing without having to do it yourself, Ken is your only other option. Besides healing, he excels at dealing single-target electric damage and can use light spells that can insta-kill enemies. He also has a physical skill that deals 50% more damage to down targets. Like other magic-focused party members of your team, equipment that restores or increases SP is good for him. Focus on giving Ken magic-enhancing gear so that his heals and lightning spells are much stronger. The last party member to join is Shinjiro Aragaki, your toughest nails beanie-wearing badass. Shinji is a mysterious individual, intimidating, quiet, and scary looking. He's the type of person you think is physically incapable of smiling. His menacing attitude is backed up by his incredible strength and battle prowess, crushing anyone and anything that stands in his way with minimal effort. If you ever make the mistake of pissing him off, pray to God he'll leave you enough teeth to eat cereal. Despite how distant and cold he may seem, his toughness hides behind it a warm and caring individual who looks out for his friends and teammates, especially Akihiko, who's been like a brother to him since they were kids. When no one's looking, he's either watching a cooking show or pampering Koromaru with homemade food. He's a very talented chef and has a soft spot for dogs and other small animals. Shinji's arcana is the Hierophant, representing authority, order, and maturity. His persona is Caster, the Horsebreaker. Caster's job is obliterating your enemies with devastating physical attacks. It has high endurance and strength, which helps Shinji take a beating and deliver one right back. Besides physical spells, Caster learns health regen skills as well as a status ailment and a passive skill called Counter that has a chance to reflect any physical attacks he receives back to the attacker. He doesn't learn a single magic spell though, so his magic stat is completely useless. Shinji is one of the 2 members of Seas that doesn't have a single elemental weakness or strength, the other being Fuuka. His lack of weakness combined with his counter skill makes it really damn hard for him to be knocked down. Shinjiro uses bludgeons as a weapon. These can be either hammers, axes, or anything that's really freaking heavy and hard to swing. His attacks miss often, but when they hit hard. Focus on giving Shinji more agility, as he has a hard time landing his attacks, but strength and luck are also great to make him hit harder and get more crits. And last, but definitely not least, is Fuuka Yamagishi.
Hi, how was your day?
Tech genius, flower lover, and pure cinnamon roll. Fuuka is a very reserved girl. Having been raised by negligent parents who care more about her grades than her well-being, she is a rather timid person who usually keeps to herself. Despite this, Fuuka is also a very kind-hearted individual, always ready to lend a hand to those in need, and never turning down anyone who asks for help. She has a passion for technology and computers as well as plants and flowers, and she heavily dislikes seeing people fight each other. Fuuka is your navigator. She is your mission control and the one in charge of giving you intel regarding the shadows you will be facing. Instead of being there with you in fights, Fuuka will remain at the starting floor of the dungeon, communicating with the party by using her persona. Fuuka's arcana is the High Priestess, representing introspection, self-reflection, and inner knowledge. Her persona is Lucia, patron saint of the blind. Lucia has no combat abilities, which reflects Fuuka's pacifist nature. All of her skills are focused on providing support to you and your party. Her persona stats and HP SP are entirely for decoration and don't have any impact on any aspect of the game. Like your teammates, Lucia will gain XP after every fight, but instead of splitting the XP share further, she will simply gain an equal part to what has already been split. Think of it as pirating XP. She's not taking away your XP, she's simply making a copy of it for herself. At first, Fuuka's abilities will be very basic, only being able to tell you an enemy's elemental attributes. But as she levels up, she'll be able to give you more information on your opponents, telling you if they have any active buffs or debuffs, and even warn you if you're about to use an attack that it's immune to. One skill in particular that Fuuka learns late in the game has gained a bit of infamy around players. It's called Oracle. Oracle is the only active battle skill Fuuka learns as she levels up. The game doesn't tell you exactly what Oracle is, with Fuuka herself stating that not even she is sure what it does. You can find the option to activate Oracle in the tactics menu. When she casts Oracle, one of the following things will occur. Full restoration of the party's HP, full restoration of the party's SP, full restoration of both, removal of your team's status ailments, or depletion of your team's HP to 1 point. Yup, it's a Russian roulette skill which has a 1 in 5 chance of leaving your team 1 hit away from death. Since the game doesn't tell players anything about this skill, many people have used it in the middle of bosses or difficult battles out of curiosity, only to have RNGs give them a big middle finger before sapping away all of their health, which in most cases ended in a game over. Oracle is only ever useful as a last resort for when you're pretty much sure you're about to die. That way, if you get a positive result, you'll be able to keep fighting, and if you get a negative result, it won't matter since you were going to die anyway. Inside the dorm, you can ask Fuuka to give you the status of your teammates. That way you can check up on how healthy they are and what kind of equipment they currently have. These are all the party members that you will meet along your journey. You are free to pick any combination of them and can take up to 3 other people with you to scout and explore the halls of the dungeon. I bet by now you're wondering what the optimal party composition is. Well, that depends entirely on your playstyle. Since you have access to a multitude of personas and can use pretty much every skill that exists, you should get party members that synergize well with your persona loadout. That said, Aigis and Akihiko are generally considered to be the most useful party members in the game. The reason? Buffs and debuffs. Buffs and debuffs are extremely good in Persona 3, and by taking these two you'll have access to every single buff and debuff there is. Although to be honest, debuffs are kinda better than buffs, since buffs only help one person and debuffs help everyone. Now that you know more about each party member, I want to talk about what they can do outside of battle. Pressing square outside of battle will give you the party order menu. It has 3 options to choose from. The first is split up. This will instruct your team to explore the current floor by themselves. They will be able to pick up items and inform you if they find the stairs to the next floor or the teleporter back to the dungeon entrance. Any items they find they'll give to you, but if they stumble upon any money they'll keep it, or in Mitsuru's case just throw it away. Opening the menu again will show a new option called regroup, which will make your team return to where you are. The next command is priority, which tells your team what they should be focused on doing. You can set it to one of 2 modes. Explore, which is on by default, tells your team to avoid fighting enemies without you. If you separate your team while this option is on, they will stay clear of shadows while they look around. Keep in mind that shadows can still chase and start fights with your team. The second option is defeat shadows, which makes them run towards the nearest enemy to fight them. If your team is split up, they will still pick up items and tell you where the exits are, but the moment they spot a shadow they will immediately run after it. When teammates get into battles by themselves, they will lose HP and spend longer in fights depending on the level and number of enemies they're facing. You can keep track of their health on the right side of the screen. If it gets too low, you can use items or skills to heal them while they fight. XP rules work the same here. It splits by the amount of people who participated in the fight. If you feel like joining one of your party members' fights, you can just hit the shadow at any time to jump into battle with them. The last option in the order menu is change music. While not a party command, this is still a great option as it tells Fuuka to change the music when you get tired of listening to the same semi-droning dungeon theme. You can choose from a few tracks here, but my personal favorite is track number 3. And with that, you've learned all there is to know about what your party members can do. Let's wrap this up by giving you a few tips to prepare you for the hardships that you'll face as a leader. Number 1. You can request your teammates to heal your party outside of battle by walking up to them and asking. This saves you SP and the effort of having to go through a slow ass menu to do it yourself. Number 2. Leaving behind teammates and moving to another floor will remove them from the party and return them to the dungeon entrance. If said party member is unconscious, they will still return to the bottom floor, but will be too tired to continue and return to the dorm. That will have to be it for today. It's 2:30 AM as I'm recording this and I'm extremely tired, so if you'll excuse me, I'll go pass out for a few days. Thanks a lot for watching, and until next time.
While I put you in a trance.